love how you display Elendil's, well, climb between fatherly responsibilities and political responsibilities. And I was wondering how it feels like, or how the process is of developing a character that has a sealed fate and that everybody knows the fate too, because obviously Elendil dies at the end. So,
what?
Yeah,
what?
Sorry.
Jesus.
No, but I mean, there's still a lot of character development, I think, and just how it is to basically plan out and flesh out a character that you know is going to die at the end. Sorry for that.
It's a very good question. Thank you for it. And I think there's a particular challenge for the writers more than the actors, probably, when you do a prequel of how you, because that threat, you know, is not going to land as much for an audience that know. But what's really interesting, excuse me, what's really interesting about this job is that I realised, and I spoke earlier about reading The Hobbit to my son when he was 12, and I kept thinking throughout this process, there's going to be a whole new set of 12-year-olds coming to see this who haven't seen the films, haven't read the books, don't know what's going to happen. So there's this balance that you have to strike in terms of that storytelling. As it has to be, obviously it has to be real at all times anyway, but there's some reason that you still can't shortchange those people that have no idea what the ending is. But I totally agree. There is something. There's something particular about knowing what his fate is, and I mean a theatre reference here, but Bertolt Brecht, who some people might know, you know, but his whole theatre, what was new when he started putting theatre on was he would put a description of what the scene you were about to see is before each scene, and so it gives you a different experience watching it. The audience is, you're like, okay, I know this is going to happen, and then the question is, how does it happen? And I hope for the Elendil Isildur story particularly, and in fact for the shape of the whole series, is there's a lot of us know what's going to happen, but it's like, how does that happen? And going back to some earlier questions about Elendil, this is a great privilege, because I really do feel that if Tolkien had written more about Elendil, more about that story, and I said this in the press a little bit recently, was that what made me think of it was that Isildur doesn't throw the ring into the fire, right? He doesn't throw it into that. And I said to the Tolkien professor, actually, I said, what about, do you think Elendil would throw it in? And he was like, no. So quickly, it was such an emotional reaction, which taught me a lot about his feelings for Elendil, that somehow we want this guy to be the hero. But I don't think Tolkien would have written it, because the power of the ring is the power of the ring, and everyone is subject to it. Even Frodo has to have his finger bitten off, you know, in order to let it go. So there's something. So if you were to write Elendil now, I think there would still be that division in him. But it's a fascinating question to ask. And then if you work back from that, it's like, how do I fill in the pieces of this man, so that ultimately he is prepared to lose his own life against Sauron, to take the risk of losing his own life against Sauron. Along with Gil-galad, what is that about him? What is it innate in his personality that is prepared to sacrifice in that way? I don't think I'm quite answered your question, but
it's totally okay, because I think there isn't really a proper answer to the question, because as you said, there is still a lot that has to be seen and that has to develop for the character, and I'm very looking forward to seeing this development, because it's just very interesting knowing that there is an end, but as you said, getting to that end and seeing a journey.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't want him to be a perfect father in any way, and yeah, I mean, I have my own problems with my dad most of the time, but probably at least one, or, you know, not two parents. What do they say? In therapy, they say it's not one thing, it's your mother. That's their joke, isn't it? But anyway, but in terms of fathers, definitely, you know, he can't just be this wonderful hero who always makes the right decision. I think we need to see him fail in that arena, and to fail with Isildur, but not fail so much that when Isildur doesn't throw it in at the end, you think, oh, the reason he doesn't is because his dad was horrible to him. I think that's too simple. That's too that. So somehow it's this balance for Elendil in sense of at least that relationship, and with AI and a new character, and a Narion who we may well see coming up. So trying to plan it is one thing, but then also as the actor you're trying to plan it, but then the writers haven't written it yet. So there's another element where you're having conversations about where I might like it to go, but they might want it to go in a totally different direction, and then that overall narrative is the most important. So you have to fit into the overall narrative of this series in this case.